Folks, Election Day, a little more than 24 hours away, but unlike previous years, election officials, they see a historic number of early and mail-in ballots. The surge in votes have some questioning election security like never before.
I talked to the people running our elections here locally about what they're doing to protect your vote. Tina says this moment was one to remember.
Well, I wanted to take a picture because this is such an important year to vote, and I wanted to let others know that we voted.
Her first ballot was cast decades ago.
Oh, I don't know what year that was, but it was President Carter, 1976 maybe?
A lot has changed in our election since. The 2020 general election is shaping up to be a record-shattering one in terms of turnout. Not to mention, more voters are casting ballots by mail, drop box, and even absentee.
It really has been a marathon, and we're anxious to get it done and to get it done right.
As some voters raise concerns about election security, we went to local election boards and our state officials to get some answers.
We have several systems in place to make sure that everything is secure, that our votes can't be hacked, that there's nothing that's going to interfere with our election, that's going to interfere with our databases.
It takes 2 key cards and 2 different people to get into this room, and there are security cameras in the ceilings. The people here they're sworn under oath as election workers. This is the Advanced Counting Board.
They're also working every step of the way in bipartisan teams.
We don't let one individual touch a ballot. If ballots are to be touched, it's done in 2-person teams. We want to make sure that there's always a Republican and always a Democrat.
When it comes to absentee ballots, it's safe to drop them off.
Those drop boxes are being checked minimum once a day, but generally twice a day. But we did put in some basic security protocols for counties.
That includes measures to prevent people from stealing and trying to cast someone else's ballot.
Unless you are really good at forging thousands of people's signatures, it's going to be very difficult to steal an election in Kansas. It's easy to vote, but it's really hard to cheat.
Still, both secretaries of state say the safest way to make your voice heard is to cast your vote in person.
Voting in person is always going to be the most secure way to make sure your vote gets counted, because when you do an advance mail ballot, there's a lot more hands touching it.
The gold standard to have a secure election is to have people go in person to their assigned polling place on election day and vote. That's not an opinion, that's just fact.
When asked what message they have for our community, local election workers offered this.
Forefront of my thoughts every single day is making sure that I'm doing a good job to make sure that every vote is counted and every eligible voter gets to vote.
Everybody here is dedicated to make sure that this vote actually happens, to make sure that it's done correctly, to make sure that there's no opportunity for anything to go wrong as much as possible.
Because for them, this process isn't about politics.
Not at all. Everybody just wants to do a good job, and they want to go home, and they don't want any recounts.
Ultimately, everyone is encouraging you to get out there and vote, no matter what method you choose, because our election process is safe and sound.
The best way to fight against the concerns with vote fraud or anything like that is to have large margins and incredible turnout.
All right, Tuesday's the day, folks. If you don't have a plan to vote yet, don't worry. Head over to KSHB.com, click our Vote 2020 tab. You can read more about the sample ballots, polling locations, and important times to remember on Election Day.